Assalamualaikum and good day. We are from Group 3, Kuliah 11. Our topic of presentation is about neuromuscular junction. What is neuromuscular junction? Neuromuscular junction, or NMJ, is a synaptic connection between terminal end of a motor nerve and a muscle. It acts as a bridge between nervous system and muscular system. The process of contraction is either initiated or halted in the muscles by the neurons, which is why changes in neuromuscular junction can result in impaired contraction of the skeletal muscles, which is why neuromuscular junction is interconnected with muscle contraction.
Hello everyone and a very good evening. So today I am going to talk about the process of neuromuscular junction. So as you can see, this is our neuromuscular junction. Firstly, the action potential will reach the axon terminal. Then this action potential will go to react with the calcium channel. And what happens next is the calcium channel opens and causes the influx of calcium onto the terminal. And then this calcium is then, will activate the snare protein, which will attach to the synaptic vesicle. Then the synaptic vesicle then will fuse with the presynaptic membrane. All right, next. What happens next is after fusing with the presynaptic membrane, so the process exocytosis will happen, and this causes the release of acetylcholine to the synaptic cleft. So this acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter, will then react with the sodium channel, which is the acetylcholine receptor, and opens up. And this causes the influx of sodium ion into the muscle fiber. So as the result of this, muscle contraction or increase in the tone of muscle will occur. And lastly, there will be an excess of the acetylcholine. And then in the synaptic cleft, there are also enzyme acetylcholinesterase will be present. And it will act and degrade the excess acetylcholine. So this is briefly what the process of our neuromuscular junction.
Okay, this is the neuromuscular junction part and function. Okay, these shapes here is the axon terminal. Axon terminal is site where mitochondria, vesicle synapse are all included in it. So axon terminal, the function is so that the nerve impulse that arrive in this axon terminal, in these sites, will be delivered through the synapse and will arrive at dendrite of neurons. So in the axon of terminal, they have vesicle synapse. So vesicle synapse is will be triggered when the nerve impulse arrive at the axon terminal, and they will release neurotransmitter, which is located inside of vesicle synapse. So here you can see the vesicle synapse release it contains through the synapse, so that it allow the information from axon terminal transmitted through synapse and arrive at the dendrite of neurons. So synapse is actually the small gap between axon terminal and dendrite of neurons. So this mitochondria will produce energy so that the nerve impulse that arrive from the axon terminal can go through the synapse and arrive at the dendrite of neuron. So it will produce enough energy so that the process will occur fluently. And then this dendrite of neuron is a projection of neuron that receive signal from other neurons. So the dendrite of neuron will receive information from axon terminal neuron. That's all from me. Thank you.
Importance of neuromuscular junction. Firstly, it initiates muscle action. It transducts or enables electrical impulse from our nervous system to the muscle fiber that results in muscle fiber action or muscle contraction. It reflects on how our body reacts during emergencies. For example, when touching a hot object. If we touch a hot object, we will immediately pull our hand away. This is because the sensory neurons at our hands are activated by a stimulus that we send to our central nervous system, and a motor response through neuromuscular junction is sent to our skeletal muscles that enables us to pull our hand away, which is why neuromuscular junction is the site of signal exchange that allows muscle contraction to pull our hand away, that will prevent our hand from being burnt from the hot object. Neuromuscular junction could also prevent pathologies, which is the role of enzyme acetylcholinesterase. It removes acetylcholine molecules that do not bind immediately with a receptor or are done activating a receptor. Or we can say that acetylcholine has already done or finished with its role or its function. The enzyme action, it essentially terminates synaptic activation that gives the muscle time to relax and prevent continuous contraction of the muscles that could result in muscle spasms or muscle convulsions. For example, is dystonia.
So for one of the disorder of neuromuscular junction, which is myasthenia gravis, so it literally means grave muscle weakness, and it is a chronic disease characterized by weakness and rapid fatigue of the voluntary muscles, and it can affect any muscles that you can control voluntarily. For example, we have biceps, triceps, and also pectoral muscles, and it commonly affects the muscle that can control eye and eyelid movement, facial expression, chewing, swallowing, and also talking. So for example, from this picture, we can see that with myasthenia gravis, we're having a dropping of eyelids, weakness in arms and legs, change of voice, and also swallowing difficulty. So what causes the myasthenia gravis? So the first is abnormal immune reaction, which is antibody-mediated autoimmune responses in which body's immune defense inappropriately attack certain proteins in muscles that receive nerve impulse. So in individuals with myasthenia gravis, their antibodies are inappropriately directed against site, which is receptors on the surface of certain muscle cells that bind with the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. So the abnormal autoimmune response results in a decreased number of acetylcholine receptors that can cause the failed nerve transmission at certain neuromuscular junction and associate deficiency or weakness of muscle contraction.
I was wondering about your
the symptom of myasthenia gravis ni, in general dia ada weakness lah. Okay. Myasthenia gravis, myo is striated muscle kan. Muscle kita ada dua jenis kan, dia panggil smooth muscle dengan striated muscle. Striated muscle tu muscle yang biasa. Smooth muscle tu macam muscle perut, tali perut apa semua. Jadi mana dia yang kalau myasthenia gravis ni dia cuma accept striated muscle yang untuk pergerakan yang biasa. Mana dia otot-otot kat badan kita lah. So kalau kata otot tu tak boleh nak function, tak boleh nak bergerak, maknanya dia patient akan datang, dia punya symptoms dia tu dia lemah lah. Satu tu dia movement. Jadi movement tu bila dia exercise dia jadi lemah. Tapi bila lepas exercise dia duduk sekejap, dia okay. Dia jadi normal balik. Tapi bila dah lama-lama tu, bila dah dia punya receptor makin rosak, nerve muscle kita dah tak boleh nak terima neurotransmitter tu dengan banyak. Jadi lama-lama tu even duduk pergerakan biasa pun dia dah jadi lemah. Satu lagi dia akan affect muscle yang kecil-kecil dulu. Contoh dia macam muscle kita punya mata. Okay? Kelopak mata kita. Jadi bila kelopak mata kita tu, bila muscle tak boleh gerak, maknanya dia kelopak mata tu akan jatuh lah. Jadi datang muka macam mata dia tak boleh nak buka. Dia tak boleh nak buka besar mata dia. Dia punya kelopak mata tu jadi lemah lah. Okay. Jadi kalau nak buat treatment untuk myasthenia gravis ni, so apa dia buat tadi, dia ada banyak jenis treatment lah. Salah satu treatment tu dia bagi drugs yang counter the effect of acetylcholinesterase tadi. Drug ni dia akan buang dulu acetylcholinesterase ni. So that yang acetylcholine receptor tadi akan ada di kawasan tu dengan lebih lama. Dia biar acetylcholine tu dengan lebih lama kat situ so that dia boleh bind dengan apa-apa receptor yang tinggal. yang tak rosak oleh myasthenia gravis tadi lah. Okay, so how does myasthenia gravis affect the oral and maxillofacial region? Macam cakap tadi lah. Ya. Satu facial tu biasanya dia akan affect muscle yang kecil-kecil dulu. Muscle kecil tu macam muscle dekat kelopak mata. Jadi bila datang tu macam kelopak mata dia jatuh sebelah berat, dia tak boleh nak buka mata. Ya. Bukan sebab dia tidur lambat. Tapi sebab dia punya muscle tu tak boleh nak gerak. So dia tak boleh buka mata dia dengan besar. Okay, itu satu. Satu lagi tu dia punya otot pipi dia, otot rahang dia jadi lemah. So dia bila dia makan tu dia cepat penat, dia kunyah sekejap je dia dah jadi cepat penat. Okay. Dia bukan inherited ya. Jadi kalau inherited ni biasanya dipanggil genetic disorder lah.
In conclusion, we know that neuromuscular junction is a microstructure that presents at the junction of motor neurons and the skeletal muscle fibers. There's an important clinical condition associated with the neuromuscular junction, which is myasthenia gravis. It is an autoimmune disease in which antibodies are formed against the acetylcholine receptors. It affects the voluntary muscles of the body, especially those that control the eyes, mouth, throat, and limbs. We also know that it is not inherited and it is not contagious. So that's all from us. Thank you.